What is up, everybody? Noble Comics here with round 3 of our mid-level Tournament of Power. Today we have our geriatric general Whitebeard of One Piece versus the washed-up warrior All Might from My Hero Academia. Before we get into that, let's look at the results of the last match, which was Machamp versus Colossus. And Colossus is going to win with about 70% of the vote, and we'll move on to the next match against Iron Man. With that out of the way, let's get into this battle. So here it is, round 3, Whitebeard versus All Might. I like this fight a lot because it's two characters who are, for the most part, the most powerful characters in their universe, though they are now past their prime, duking it out to see who's going to come out on top. Whitebeard, of course, from the One Piece manga, and All Might from My Hero Academia. We are taking both of these characters in their current state for the most part. Spoilers for One Piece, but Whitebeard at this point is dead. But we're going to take him as he was in the Marineford arc, and All Might in his current state. These are not going to be in their primes. I want to start the fight off with All Might, who has the One for All quirk, making him extremely powerful, turning him into pretty much the perfect superhero. He's strong, he's fast, he's durable. That's really all you got to know about him. He can punch so hard that it sends massive shockwaves, sometimes enough to even destroy nearby buildings. And he's fast enough to cross vast distances in mere seconds, and can jump and propel himself super fast to pretty much fly for all intents and purposes. In his current state, he was able to match Neomu the monster, who is specifically designed essentially to kill him and to be able to absorb any sort of shock or impact. And he was able to overwhelm this creature, going punch for punch with him for over 300 punches, and eventually overpowering and destroying the creature. Though it is worth noting that he remarks in his prime this only would have taken a couple punches. So he's definitely much weaker now than he was then. And this is tied to the fact that his powers now have a time limit. He can only stay in his All Might form for a certain amount of time before he reverts back to his sort of shriveled, weak form. Regardless, though, he is still probably one of, if not the most powerful person in the universe here, able to casually smash through walls, buildings, etc., and fight the toughest villains that the universe has to offer, including All for One. And their fight, the blows between the two flattened an entire city block, and he was casually throwing around punches that were, again, the shockwaves from which destroying nearby buildings, etc. The man is incredibly strong, incredibly fast, and super durable, and in this fight he was able to sort of overcome that timer as well that was kicking him out of his All Might form back into his weak. He has a few very notable attacks like Detroit Smash, Delaware Smash, Texas Smash, United States Smash, which are all just variations on punching really, really hard. And he does indeed punch really, really hard, but is it going to be hard enough? Let's see, because now let's look at Whitebeard from One Piece, who again is quite the old man, very far past his prime. We really got to see him flex his powers in the Marineford arc as he's there to save Ace, his, quote unquote, his pretty much adopted son, who is set to be executed. He shows up there to challenge the might of the Marines, and challenge it he does. We saw him notably go toe-to-toe with Akainu, the most powerful admiral in the Navy, who became Fleet Admiral soon after this. Akainu, just for example, is just an absolute beast. He's an absolute monster. Probably the most powerful person in the Navy structure, not counting when you go up to like the Celestial Dragon Plus level, but he's insanely powerful, and his devil fruit that he uses, his ability, is that he's pretty much living magma, living lava, and is incredibly strong there. Whitebeard, however, is even stronger, as we see him essentially one-shot Akainu, though the fight does go on longer than that. but his ability is to essentially crack the air and create these massive, massive shockwaves. It's enough to essentially turn the ocean upside down and destroy the entire island. In his fight during a canoe, he's completely ragdolling the guy, even though he has a hole blown through his chest from a cannon and is incredibly weakened. And again, he's like 100 years old. After Akainu delivers the killing blow to Whitebeard, punching him through the chest with his magma fist, Whitebeard delivers his own final blow to Akainu, a super powerful smash that knocks the guy out instantly and shatters the entire island. Whitebeard at this time is considered the most powerful man in the world, and throughout his life has been considered to be one of the most powerful beings, period. So what happens if these two meet, right? What happens when these two fight? Speed-wise, I got to give it to All Might. I think he's definitely faster. But when it comes to strength and durability, I think Whitebeard definitely has the advantage. Fighting ability, All Might almost certainly has the advantage there. And this is not to mention, too, any of Whitebeard's hockey abilities, which make him even more powerful, though I don't know how big of a role they would play in this fight necessarily. But when the fight starts here, I think immediate advantage goes to All Might for being fast enough to potentially speed blitz Whitebeard, right? Though his observation hockey, which I mentioned, may come into play there, may help out with that, as it serves as basically a type of precognition. But regardless, I think All Might would be landing the first blows on Whitebeard. However, I don't know if they would be enough. I feel like this fight for All Might would probably be similar to the fight against Neomu, where he's having to throw out tons and tons of punches against this massive beast, and the beast just won't fall, but he's hoping that he can overwhelm it before his time runs out, right? For Whitebeard, though, we know that the dude has insane durability, because again, we saw him taking on the very toughest person the Marines have to offer while he has a hole blown through his chest. And even when he had a second hole punched through his chest, he was still able to deliver some crushing blows. So I feel like All Might getting up close, which is what he essentially has to do, is going to end up hurting him. Because I wouldn't be surprised if just a few of these massive island-crushing punches from Whitebeard would put All Might down, especially in his current state. And they're not all that easy to dodge either, because again, it's not just one hit on impact, but it's more of an area of effect of like this air cracking around his fist is impacting that area that really everybody's in. I'm not saying there's not a universe where All Might comes out on top. I just have a hard time visualizing that here. I think durability-wise, Whitebeard just has such a huge advantage, and power output-wise, I think he has a huge advantage. I don't think All Might will be fast enough and durable enough to bob and weave and dodge these attacks and deliver enough damage to put Whitebeard down in the time frame that he has considering his abilities. In the end, I think that All Might flattens city blocks at his highest level, and over here, Whitebeard is flattening an island with one fist. Perhaps in his prime, I think All Might would have put up a better fight, but for right now, I think that Whitebeard will handily take this fight. Though, as always, it's not up to me. It's up to all you to go vote. So go to the community page, drop your vote on who you think would win, and who should move forward in the bracket, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.